Tournament, the first ever STARBOW tournament. Terran hype! We got in the lower left corner of the map. Former Brood War player, former Wings of Liberty badass, tried to play some League of Legends, and now trying to find out if he likes StarCraft 2 again. It is Beastyqt.
And up right, as the pink Zerg, it is Borrex.
Yeah, he's from APSC2, which, again, no disrespect to the team, I can't pronounce that name, but they put on an awesome Christmas Invitational during December when there was not a lot going on. They had a lot of good players from their own team and a lot of other good players involved with it, so, honest to God, much respect to the team just for organizing an event like that. But we've seen a couple games of Fighting Spirit now. This map is nothing too crazy, nothing too out of the ordinary. I am Rifkin, I'm joined by Beastyqt. You're watching on Beastyqt TV, and, we get to see some Terran action. Quick question to you, Beastyqt, because I know you probably fiddled with them. Ignoring how cool it is to have like the science vessel and stuff back, how do you feel about the new orbital command abilities?
I like them. It's a little annoying right now because the call on SCV really messes up your builds because it actually adds on the one supply.
Yeah.
And you're just not used to it, so but I think it's really cool. It very much so, like, you know, you get this during the early stage and then you do this during the mid and late game, which is of course the overcharge. And the overcharge is actually really intensive. I just really hate it because the hotkey is G, and not only is scanner C, but in Protoss, Chrono Boost is C. So of course I press C, I just fucking scan my own base like 10 times.
Alright, well, quick little TLDR, guys, for those who don't know what Beastyqt is referring to. The Orbital Command Center, it still scans like it used to. It actually even gets an upgrade where it doesn't cost energy, but it's got a much like shorter duration and longer cooldown type thing, but it can stack them up. The other thing, the overcharge she's talking about, it is very much like Chrono Boost. It goes down on production facilities. If it goes on a barracks, units are produced 100% faster. If it goes on any other building, it's 50% faster production. And there's no more mules. There's no mules in STARBOW. Well, there's none in Starbound either, but none in STARBOW. And instead, you actually build. It's basically instantaneously building an SCV. It does eat up a supply. It's not a free unit, and it doesn't do anything extraordinary. Beastyqt just scouting out right now with his SCV. He did this the last time we cast him too versus oh gosh, I can't remember the name. The Protoss player tried to reaver drop him. Where you start getting those supply depots at. You want as much vision covering your base as possible. You don't want to be caught off guard against anything.
There is a lot of dead space on these maps for you know, building. Of course, it's StarCraft 2, so in Brood War it was incredibly hard to actually get your buildings in an order where things don't get stuck. But it's still, you know, it's the map. It's pretty close to the Brood War map, so that's why it's even there. That was part of the map. We do have a lot of vultures on the way for Beastyqt. Now, you can get a reactor, and you can reactor out vultures. As we see here, you go back to the base, you see a supply depot call down on the factory. Well, that was the overcharge, so it goes just a little bit faster for a shorter duration. I mean, vultures already go. Like, they build so fast, and now they have a reactor plus the overcharge. It's actually pretty insane. He's also getting a starport, and this is all on one base.
Yes, vultures, of course, do not innately have the ability to lay down widow mines either, guys. They're not widow mines, sorry, spider mines.
First blood.
God. Lay down widow mines.
Can you imagine laying down widow mines? Yeah, exactly. Well, they do kind of act like widow mines, though. They take a second arm, and you can see them and attack them if you want to. In that regard, it's a little bit easier to deal with, but they do hit for like 20 a shot, guys. They got a really long cooldown on their attack, but they're meant to be these like ultimate hit-and-run units. And they even have a speed upgrade for later on. They are the unit that's kind of meant to like hard counter lings.
Yeah, I mean, and they're so useful for getting in those drone lines. That's why he's getting the dropship, because he wants to go into the main and start really harassing, and then, you know, go into the main, but also go into the natural. A lot like Hellions, but you know, it doesn't matter if you line them up or not, because there's really not getting away from getting killed by vultures. Something interesting about vultures for STARBOW is that they're even more like widow mines, because you can control the spider mines. You know, in Brood War, I don't believe you could do that. So it was kind of randomized, but people have been experimenting with that option. I want to see, you know, if Beastyqt does it. It doesn't actually explode on. It doesn't explode on drones, and it doesn't explode on other vultures.
Kind of cool. I didn't actually know that. We do have a dropship coming out here now too. It's worth noting, guys. Medevacs were removed because the medics were introduced to the barracks as actual units, so it's just a dropship. It looks a little bit awkward and a little bit plain, but it does still have the afterburner ability.
Well, that's a little.
Or sorry, emergency thrusters, I guess. Wait, what?
It's okay.
It's called Ignite Afterburners, but the actual kill was emergency after. I don't know, whatever. Okay, anyways, Ling's coming across the map. That wall's not quite done yet here at the bottom. In fact, the wall's not quite done at the top. This Ling run by is actually going to do a ton of damage to BC. He needs to get a wall off here at the front top ASAP. Well, he gets a drop into his opponent's mineral line, and looks like drones were pulled / destroyed.
Yeah. This is, I mean, the Lings are getting destroyed. Even if they get us around right now, I mean, they might get one, or actually, Vultures are pretty light, but he goes back to the mineral line. He can actually take them all out, as we saw initially.
He did get a wall off back at home. Command Center looks like it had to be canceled. A little unfortunate, but he will hold on to this game. Needs to repair that upper supply depot, though, or it will fall. Vulture's coming back. Looks like he's going to be A-okay.
He needs a micro with him, though. There you go. There's no patrol micro, unfortunately, which was something that was really cool in Brood War. So, like, you can't shoot and run nearly as effectively, and as you can see, the Vulture actually does it down. But, you know, you kind of have to make it that way, otherwise I think they'd be a little too good.
Yeah.
But,
both
anyways.
players with somewhat similar losses at the moment, too. You guys will see Siege Tech is being researched right now. Has been reintroduced into the game. They do not automatically start with that. Do you... I love telling this story for those who don't know, but, like, for those who don't know, the reason... The lore, and I'm not even making this up, the literal lore behind siege tanks no longer needing siege tech for Heart of the Swarm is because they said, hey, there's bathrooms built into the siege tank, let's get rid of the bathrooms and just build in siege mode from the get-go. I'm just like, how stupid is the Terran race for that to have even been a priority in the first place? Like, let's get a cushy bathroom in the freaking siege tank. Like,
where'd you find that one out?
That was on Project Blackstone, if you were keeping up with any of that stuff. They had this big Twitter social media campaign set up for the hot lunch. But yeah, like it was like a question of like, our soldiers have diapers built into them. Why do we need latrines? And the science officer was like, good point. Like, that was that. Finally cleans up all the drops. Sorry, not helis, but vultures over here. One single Viking is patrolling around, kind of hunting for some overlords, and queens, as we see, do not have that auto attack. They have to enrage. They have to activate an ability that costs energy to attack. So, with actual no anti-air here, it's a little bit hard to deal with. And look at the Viking missiles.
Viking missiles are so weird.
I told you they look cool. Wait till you see like 11 of them shooting at the same time. It looks even cooler. But spider mines, yeah. Sorry. Yep,
spider mines on the way, and it looks it's very clear that Beastyqt is going for that mech. You can go bio in this matchup, but I don't know, you can actually honestly go both and they're actually pretty fine. So Beastyqt obviously just goes for prefers mech. Those spider mines, it's very important that they don't, you know, explode on workers, because I was playing a TVT and the guy dropped behind my mineral line and I didn't notice that he put down a bunch of spider mines. So I built a turret back there just because, and there was like 13 spider mines behind my SCV line. I was like, oh thank God they don't explode on them.
That's that could be pretty nasty, yeah. I like the siege tank spread. Worth noting, guys, siege tanks hit for a lot now versus everything. It is like 70, yeah, 70 damage a hit, but the cooldown is insanely long. Like, not sure if it's better or worse, but they do punch quite a hole through most targets. Now, of course, Zerg players, they've been reintroduced into the Defiler. Terran players have the Science Vessel back. There's a lot more cool sort of late game tech that comes out with both races here. Ion Thrusters is, of course, the speed upgrade for Vultures. If you think they're quick now, wait till they're done.
Yeah. Got spider mines already being planted. You really want to try and use this. You know, you don't want to have a vulture that doesn't have spider mines used. You know, when you're going around the map, you want to place them everywhere because that also gives you detection, like very small detection, but I shouldn't say detection. It gives you small vision.
It's like a borrowed leg. Like you know where your opponent is.
Yeah, exactly. Actually, I believe, well, in Brood War, these actually exploded on invisible units. I don't know if they still do it in STARBOW.
Oh, we're gonna see the. Ugh, the queen gets massacred by, of course, the spider mines. A really cool thing to see. How about Irradiate? Ooh, okay, Zombie, you're the Brood War champion here. I know how Irradiate works. I've had some fun abusing it. If you want to touch base on how cool it is.
It does a lot of damage to a single unit, but that unit touches anything else, then it also does damage to that. So you can actually kill things like lurkers in one shot, and you can kill a lot of hydros in one shot. And it's actually a majority, like, you see it a lot, you know, obviously later on in the game, but if they go for Mutalis, for instance, in the early game, they're so useful because it's so hard to unstack Mutalis.
Are you watching this crazy drop micro from Beastyqt?
Yeah, I was watching it. It was pretty good.
Pick up and drop, pick up and drop. But yeah, basically Irradiate's like an immolation aura sort of thing, guys. Like it pulses damage to anything nearby it. It's not a huge range. You pretty much have to pretty much be hugging the unit. But this is what I was talking about before, the Spider-Mans. You can actually attack them to kill them before they go off. But as we see, they do a lot of damage if they do go off. Couple vultures really in the main. Oh god, those ion thrusters are insane.
Oh, the mutas are out there. When he scouts the mutas, I think he actually scouted it beforehand because he's getting a few Goliaths, so he already has 3.
Tentacom
Goliaths
online.
Actually aren't that great against air, but you do need a bigger number. I mean, eventually they will be, right? Like, they attack air at all.
It's better than nothing, right? I mean, you can't rely on just turrets as well.
Yeah, so of course you're going to need them. They're just, I mean, like just one is not going to cover it. So you see a lot of missile turrets going up.
I like the lots of missile turrets too. This is actually great because there's no space for these mutants to maneuver around with how many missile turrets have gone down.
The thing about this map is that it is the Brood War map. It's actually a little more space than Brood War had back there, but you know, there was such an abusable cliff in Brood War for mutas, and it was super hard to actually take care of them. Because, I mean, they just take down the turrets. I mean, look at this micro going on. They just take them down so fast. It's literally not going to kill that many mutas, but it's supposed to buy time so anything else can get back there. But you have to do it. You have to keep rebuilding the missile turrets. And
this is another big danger of that Irradiate, guys. We see how much the Mutalists stack up, and if they stack up too much, then all of a sudden Irradiate kind of like destroys Mutalists too. Worth noting here, Viper Nest is on the way, and if you guys don't know, Vipers have a brand new ability. It's kind of like almost a, I don't know, it doesn't do damage, I don't think. It's like a carpet bomb type move. It's a slow projectile that slows everything by like 50%.
Oh, yeah, okay. The Charon booster. I guess we got the range for Goliath going up here. The vultures are cleaned up by the Mutalists. Mutalists isn't really something where you can stick on it for too long. At least it wasn't in Brood War. Solely because I feel Irradiate was too good. There are some games in Brood War where like they actually went mass mutas, but I don't think I've ever seen someone win with it. But I don't know how it's gonna work in StarCraft 2.
This is
STARBOW.
This is something I want to bring up, but didn't want to interrupt you for. This is what Zombie was talking about, guys, where like there are Widow Mines, or sorry, Spider Mines, ugh, gonna keep saying that wrong, burrowed over here, but they weren't going off on any of the workers. They're not designed to.
They just would have been really overpowered, had they?
That really would have been super overpowered for sure. I do like the extra defenses coming down at each of these bases. They're meant to thwart off, harass more than anything else, but as we see, Mutalists are clumped up here, and Irradiate goes down, and what you guys are going to see is a massive amount of area of effect damage going out. Trying to figure out which one has the Irradiate on it, trying his hardest to split. Looks like one of the Mutalists, you can die from this, does go down. And of course, Mutalists don't have that insane tissue regeneration that they have in Heart of the Swarm, so taking that damage is actually really hard to make up the difference of. Oh, I totally forgot they brought back Defilers and Guardians, that's right! 2 evolution strains here of the Mutalist, guys, no more Corruptors or Broodlords, but instead good old-fashioned Guardians and Defilers. Or not Defilers, Devourers, sorry. Yeah, Devourers.
Changeling does get in here. I guess it doesn't... Well, it almost popped the Spider-Man anyways while it was still in Changeling form.
I love... I'm sorry, I can't get over how good this like Vulture harass has been here out of Beastyqt this whole game. Like, he's killed 35 workers with just poking around with Vultures.
Vultures were so... Fantasy really did a lot with Vultures in Brood War. I mean, of course everyone knows him because of StarCraft 2 now, but he was known as like the Vulture King. He's actually known as the Terrorist Terran because he actually just kept doing stuff like this, and maybe Beastyqt's really a fan of him. I mean, a lot of people were. If you were into Brood War and you were Terran, you're probably a fan of Fantasy.
I'm not sure what these Vultures were doing. They got in and got the hell out right away.
That was awesome. Spider-Mines, they don't react like they do in Brood War. They actually shoot a missile.
Yeah.
And then they chase them. It's really weird looking.
And it's like a slow projectile too, but Defiler Mount is on the way, guys. Defiler Mount has this weird like little back black crystal thing on it. You'll see when it finishes up. But Defilers are kind of what I was touching base on a little bit before. So they put down this, they've got the same sort of plague ability that hurts your units or whatever, but they also put down this cloud that makes it so like it's not like blinding cloud. What it does is it shields your units. You can't you'll get hit through it, but you won't take any range damage. And Spider-Man goes off again in a really cool way.
Are you talking about Dark Swarm?
Dark Swarm, is that what it's called? I couldn't remember for the life of me.
It is blinding cloud.
No, you can still attack like through it. Like if you got a siege tank, you can still shoot into it or out of it, but it just doesn't do damage.
Yeah. Oh, I actually see what you're talking about. Yeah, I forget that blinding cloud like makes your units go.
They go like full dumb mode. They can't actually attack.
Yeah, they go full dumb mode. That's right. Yeah, so he's correct.
Oh, another Radiate. 2 Irradiates go off, but he peels off the bad Mutalist right away, so minimizes the damage taken. Great control out of Borrex. Base here is under full assault, and there's a lot of links poised for a counterattack, but not a lot of option because there are siege tanks and spider mines about to detonate on top of these links, and nice defense here out of Beastyqt. Still though, with full assault, Goliath, Vultures, siege tanks, but most importantly, 4 science vessels. Getting into this is not going to be easily done.
Yeah, you know, going for Ling Ultralisk is not that great against mech. I don't know, a lot of times you see Hydralisk. at least in Brood War, and I think we're seeing it here too. Maybe a different tech path would have been nicer for Borrex against what Beastyqt is doing. Of course, Beastyqt is just really, really good too, and all that Vulture harass has really helped them out. But the Ultralisk are going to run into the mines. They're going to run. There's not a whole lot of siege tanks, so Beastyqt will have to start making those again. But he has overcharge. Like it's the tech switch of a Zerg player is actually not that scary anymore because you have that overcharge.
Once he's staying boldly facing off against the spine collar does go down, but looks like this base should be in for some trouble. Borrex, of course, is going to get irradiated once again. These Mutalisks, they just wish they could get involved with the fight, but unfortunately, looks like they will be peeled off thanks to that irradiate. Ultras coming out, of course, is they're strong, they're durable, they're those big units from before, but just like regular StarCraft 2, you can't rely on just Ultralisk to win you a game.
Well, the mutas are all going to go down. They're trying to kill the one Goliath, I suppose, but it's not going to work. Nothing goes down there. He really needs to get some Scourge. That was one thing we're missing, to kill those Science Vessels, because Science Vessels are also going to be very effective against the Filers, since you can't really do anything about the Blinding or the Dark Swarm. Oftentimes it's just, better to run away from the Dark Swarm and irradiate them so they die, so that you're actually trading gas. And that's why you see the sci-fi vessels versus the Scourge in Brood War.
Yeah, and isn't it? I think it's 2 Scourges per Science Vessel too. Like,
yeah. Well, it might be 4 actually.
Well, they clump up too. So
2 sets.
2 sets.
Yeah. Well. Oh, the splash from the tank's actually doing a lot of damage to the SCVs. The Sling counterattack's pretty good. You still have Planetary Fortresses, which is pretty nifty.
He's activating it. You gotta activate the XP cannon.
Yeah, you gotta
though.
activate it.
It's not by default, and Beastyqt might not be aware of this. There we go. Now is fully aware of it. So we'll start peeling off these legs, but full attack here into the counter will lose a lot of this to the Ultra, sadly. And as movement speed completes, he's going to be a little bit harder to deal with.
He has so many reactor factories that might be a problem.
Oh, that's a good point.
I mean, vultures aren't that great against, especially if you can't kite them as well. Like, at least if you kite them, you're doing, you're not losing the vultures, but not doing too much damage either. But now you can't. This is the Dark Swarm, by the way. It's red as opposed to green. It looks really, really weird.
Much bigger, too.
Yeah.
But that's what I was talking about before, guys. So, like, you can have
Does he not know?
Oh,
okay, he doesn't know about the base. I was like, there's a base right on top of him, he doesn't know about it. There you go.
Yeah, vultures are here, and it's so I keep trying so hard not to call them Hellions. Like, huge minefield has just been established on the map, though. This is the thing for BC. Like, vultures are just mineral units, guys. They don't take a lot of gas. They're not hard to deal with, and you produce 2 at a time. So you can throw them away after you put down a minefield, just to get space for more. But a couple Lings baiting these out a little bit at a time here. Vultures will die. That friendly's fire.
Ugh, and he just put it on the Defilers, and hopefully they die before they can cast Dark Swarm, because he is in a defensive position right now. If Dark Swarm goes down, there's nowhere to run. Oh, and he doesn't even get any of the Dark Swarms off. He has to retreat from there.
Irradiate's doing what it can, but...
Irradiate's actually very effective, because as you can see, the Ultras just pump so much, actually.
Good game.
Oh, GG. He couldn't get a 4th up. His old 4th was camped, and his new 4th died, so...
Well, that'll send Beastyqt sailing into the best of 3s, guys, and we will follow our Terran player here a little bit. We've had a lot of Protoss, a lot of Zerg, and now we're going to get a good taste of Terran, I feel, with this best of 3 coming up.